It's time now for How We Felt About. Eric and I are going to tell you about how we felt about a number of movies over the last several weeks. Now, nothing super major, because it's the beginning of the year, and nothing major really releases in January, at least in the world of genre stuff that we tend to talk about. But we will have a couple
January
things.
Is the dump month.
We will have a couple things from the previous year that we just never got around to talking about.
Yep.
But we're going to open up this segment talking about or some of our favorite movies from last year. And we're just real quick, we'll give you a list of our 5 favorite movies. I don't know if you can do yours in order.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and do that real quick. Do you want to go ahead and just do your 5, or do you want to go back and forth?
Either way.
What would be the easiest way for you, do you think? Let's go back and forth like we usually do, and that'll be fun. So, obviously, if we had been able to do an omnibus in January, we would have done this already. So, we're kind of playing catch up a little bit, but we wanted to do kind of our top lists for things, which we usually do in some form at the beginning of the year.
I also want to stress,
and we're gonna do it for every major section, except for read a book, because I didn't read enough books that actually came out last year. I read books last year.
That was my biggest problem with almost every category that wasn't. I was like, I
looked at stuff, but it wasn't 2017. Yeah.
I want to stress, best and worst, at least for me and how I made my list, is not necessarily
critically the best, just what you loved,
and not ranked in quality. It's ranked in how it affected me and how much I liked or didn't like it, kind of a thing.
Completely subjective, completely
subjective.
You.
This is about me. This is not me saying these. My 5 best films are not what I'm saying are the 5 best films of the year. It is my 5 favorite films of the year.
Yeah.
And they're ranked in that order, which will immediately become apparent once we get to like 5 and 4 will.
And we'll also give you 1 or 2 of our worst. I gotta tell you, I have 5 movies written down
for worst.
For worst, yeah.
I can at least tell you 4.
Yeah. And most of them are probably not things people will explain. Well, now that I'm looking at this again, if you remember what came out last year, you probably will not be surprised by that list either. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. What is your number 5 favorite movie from 2017?
My number 5 favorite movie from 2017 is Logan.
Is your number 5?
My number 5 is Logan.
That's fascinating.
Here's the thing, and it. So I said immediately with 5 and 4.
Yeah.
I'm talking about favorites. I'm talking about impact on me. The biggest problem with Logan that puts it at the bottom of my 5 favorites.
Yeah.
I have not felt a strong desire to go back to it.
Okay.
So it is a wonderful film. I have not been compelled to go back
I'm wondering if you will find yourself compelled to rewatch it after you've rewatched it once.
That's entirely possible.
Because I had that. When I watched the noir cut, or the noir version, I guess, I kind of keep wanting to go back to it. And that mood has really, like, settled in, if that makes any sense, where, like...
you know what that feels like now.
Think about the feeling of that movie in a way I didn't before.
Yeah,
but yeah, sure.
So Logan's my number 5. I loved Logan. I thought it was wonderful. I don't know if there's really much more to say about it. I'm sure you'll talk about it too.
Yeah, sure. Well, and again, we're gonna make this kind of quick.
I want
and
more
we've
superhero movies like Logan.
We've talked about these movies before. Yeah, and it's really hard to say that Logan's not as good as what we've ever talked about as the best superhero movies ever made.
No, it's up there with Dark Knight.
It's Dark Knight for me. It's Winter Soldier. John Wick Chapter 2.
Okay.
Is my number 5.
Yeah. It's super fun.
Which I'm sure is higher on your list.
It's super
It'll be
fun.
interesting to see how, like, inverted this
list
is.
Yeah.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Wonder Woman.
Okay, cool.
All right, so the reason Wonder Woman... I do not necessarily think Wonder Woman is a better film than Logan.
But isn't... it is. I'm sorry. It's not. It's definitely not. But...
It had...
Can you believe it ranks? Just after how we felt about it last year?
No, it blew me away. I went in with high expectations for Logan. I went in with no expectations for Wonder Woman, and it blew me away. So that's why it ranks higher than Logan. Is just... It left a much stronger impact, and while I have not gone back to Wonder Woman yet, I do want to.
Yeah.
I have thought about...
So you put it forward because you want to put it back in.
Yeah. And I thought about putting it back in, I just haven't had a chance
yet. It's right there. It's right there in that stack.
Yeah. But no, I think Wonder Woman was a phenomenal superhero film.
My number 4...
And I guess based on my list, I think it was the best superhero film of the year. Well, I liked it the best.
Sure.
Logan is the best superhero film of the year critically. Critical analysis. Logan's the best superhero film of the year.
Maybe you could say Wonder Woman is the best, like, more traditional superhero movie of the year, in that it's heroic. It's
It's about hope.
Yeah, sure. You almost have to put the ones you can't show your kids in a different category in a way.
Yeah.
My number 4, and I would not have thought this before I saw it, is Disaster Artist. Oh my god, I just love that movie.
It was really good. We did talk about that movie, yes?
Yeah, we sure did.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we did that.
Well, don't you remember we had Rasco talk about it, and then we talked about it the next time it was after that. Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Just the Room thing just opened up a whole world for me that I didn't know about.
And he might be the Joker.
And yeah, no, he might. Tommy Wiseau is wanting to be the Joker. That's hilarious.
He tweeted the director of that Joker movie and said, "DM me."
He's campaigning. It's hysterical.
I want it so bad.
Oh my god.
I want him to make 2 movies. I want him to make the same movie, and they just shoot it with Tommy, and they shoot it
one
with
in standard definition and one in high definition. That he shot this. Yeah. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is John Wick Chapter 2.
Okay, cool.
John Wick Chapter 2 is the most fun action movie that came out this year. I loved it. I adored it. I can't wait for Chapter 3.
Yeah, well, the most impressive, I should have said this when I brought it up, the most impressive thing about that movie to me is that it was a sequel to a movie that I felt in the theater should not have gotten a sequel, and opened up a world where I wanted 7. That's amazing.
I also love the just... So we saw that movie, and we'd seen a bunch of, mirror, Hall of Mirrors kinds of movies.
Right. Oh, I forgot that has that. It's the best of them.
It's the best Hall of Mirrors, I think, ever. Because what I didn't think about until I watched it with commentary was, he goes, yeah, we basically screwed ourselves because we wanted to be the best one ever, so we said, what if the floor and the ceiling were also mirrors, so there's no way to hide a camera? That's
hilarious.
It's amazing. It's the best action movies come out in maybe a decade.
Because I didn't articulate it like you. I must have subconsciously made my list the same way you did, because I put that number 5. That's not a movie I've really thought to go back to. Mm-hmm. But I think the higher these are up on my list,
I've rewatched it at least twice now, and it's also
number 2 is.
One of only 2 movies, I think, since I started working at the job that I work at, where I was like, do I buy this immediately, the day it comes out? I didn't even wait for the price to drop. I bought it. And my number 1 is like that too.
Yeah, which I know immediately what that is. My number 3 is Wonder Woman.
So
this really is
Logan is 2 or 1.
Yeah, or not on here at all, which makes no sense.
Logan's number 1.
What is your?
My number 2.
Number 2. Yep.
My number 2 is Shape of Water,
which I didn't see. And I imagine it would be on this list or close if I'd seen it.
Yeah. Shape of Water is an amazing film. It's a beautiful love story. It's just...
Which we just don't make enough of.
No.
I mean, too often, at least in genre stuff, the love story too often is secondary to the main thing, and I love a really good love story. That's one of the things, and I know this is a weird thing to talk about, that was actually a thing I liked about Deadpool, was that I bought that love story, and it was kind of at the forefront.
Well, it's a silent love story because it's a monster and a mute woman.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's just, it's so good. It's so good.
My number 2, and again, I couldn't have imagined this before I saw it, is Blade Runner.
Oh, okay.
Which I felt the need to put this high because, this might sound weird, I loved it so much, I didn't feel qualified to talk about it until I saw it 3 times. Some of that also was because I fell asleep in the theater the first time because it was really late at night, and that's a very slow movie, but I loved it. Yeah. But also because I will continue to stand by my statement that at least for me, it surpasses that first film, which I wouldn't have thought was possible. And once again, kind of like Logan, I'm enraptured with that mood. I want to put that in because I want to feel like that again.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why it's your number 1.
My number 1 is Blade Runner 2049. It just blew me away. I love the feel of that movie, and because I also saw it 3 times in theaters. When the DVD came out, it's interesting you talked about the feel of it is that's why I bought it. Was I saw the DVD and I felt the movie. Yeah, I felt it in my person.
I could be in that again. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I bought it immediately, and I started watching special features, and it's just it's so good. I never thought in a million years that even if we did get a Blade Runner movie, that I would like it as much as I do.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing.
And my number 1 is Logan.
Dun, dun, dun.
All the reasons we discussed already. Everybody's so surprised.
Captain Logan loves his violence. Loves bone claws through the skull.
Yeah, see, that's why it's amazing that it is my number one. You know, because that stuff was necessary. Like it's not obligatory. Like it's got to be that visceral.
It's the best I've ever seen Jackman. It's an amazing performance from Patrick Stewart. Like,
and I think he's gonna stand the test of time and be a real timeless kind of film.
I think you're right. I think you were right.
Let's go ahead and move on now. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do some bad movies. Let's talk about a couple bad movies from last year. First of all, let me say a couple runner-ups I had. It was hard not to put Murder on the Orient Express on that list.
Might as well.
It jumped back and forth with that.
Probably my number 6.
I kind of I don't know. If Wonder Woman hadn't come out that year, Spider-Man: Homecoming probably would have been on that list.
Mine as well.
Just because, how do you not consider it after you say it's the best Spider-Man film we've had? After all the Spider-Man films we've had?
Yeah, I'm not talking on it. It's really fun. It's not Logan or Wonder Woman.
And I even consider Beauty and the Beast, which I ended up loving.
Oh, so. Well, I did not see that one.
Anything else you had runner-up wise that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head.
I know you're running off the top of your head right now because you had a bad phone thing earlier.
Yeah.
So what would you say are your 2 or 3, just however many you have, worst films of last year?
Okay, so 3.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go back and forth?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I have 5 that I wrote down, and I don't know if I really have an order, but yes, we can try to go back and forth. Sure,
okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll do my 3 worst. Do they have to be theatrical films?
They have to be a film.
Okay, all right. Okay, cool.
I think the runtime has to be at least like 70 minutes.
Okay, all right.
Or 90 minutes or whatever it is to technically be considered a film.
Yeah.
So we're doing 3?
Yeah, let's do 3.
Okay. At Thor Ragnarok.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I mean, yeah, we both had huge issues with that. We both turned the sign red. There were too many bad movies last year for me to put that on the list.
I didn't see that many. I guess I couldn't think of it. Maybe you'll say them and like you remember this movie and then remember this movie.
No, and these are all things we saw together.
Okay.
I don't know. There are things on this list. I'm
gonna put a pin in Thor Ragnarok and possibly change my answer.
Sure. Yeah. Because here's the thing, Ragnarok. I had huge fundamental issues as we've talked about with just like the pacing and like the tonal consistency of that movie, but I had a lot of fun with a lot of it.
But I didn't.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I thought were really funny. I just it just shouldn't have been the blatant comedy.
There wasn't a single joke I don't think that I liked that they didn't later run into the ground. Like the Rock guy. I like the Rock guy. They run him into the ground.
So you clearly disliked it more than I did, even though I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
Is that possible? I think I was as disappointed as you, but I liked it better than you did. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
I don't know.
But we'll see what your other numbers are, and I might remove Thor Ragnarok.
My 3 is Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, I forgot about Ghost in the Shell.
Oh my god.
Oh, no, of course. Ghost in the Shell is way worse.
Way worse than Ragnarok.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Okay.
And that's my 3rd worst.
Okay, so yeah, okay. So right now, Ghost in the Shell is my 3rd worst as well.
My number 2 is Transformers: The Last Night.
Forgot about that movie.
Oh my god.
Forgot about that movie. Is that worse than Ghost in the Shell? Yes,
it is.
Yep, okay. So Transformers is my 3. Is my 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then and then my number 1 is Flatliners. With no way around it. I know that's yours. Yeah.
Okay.
Flatliners is easily the worst thing we've probably ever seen together.
Sure.
Well, almost ever.
Is it?
Here's the thing. Batman Harley Quinn was also
that's
last year.
not what I'm talking about. I'm trying to figure out.
I am, and that's why I asked you if theatrical things because
Oh yes.
Because that was also last year.
Okay.
And I don't know that that's any better than any.
Nobody's counting that stuff when they're doing their best movies of the year.
No, I know they're not, but that's why I asked.
Okay.
Because it was last year.
It
was the worst thing in Batmania that we've talked about. That's not up yet, but I just felt the need to ask you about it.
Is Flatliners worse than Transformers?
It was more boring.
It was more boring. And I didn't get the fun that I get out of Transformers movies where I'm like, what happened? And I had that more than anything with this Transformers.
Here's why it's worse. There was at least one person in Transformers Last Night that wanted to be there making that movie.
Anthony Hopkins?
At least one. I don't know if that's who it is, I'm just saying. Next to Flatliner, no one wanted to be there making that movie.
Okay.
So there you go.
My number 2 is Last Jedi.
My other... Really? I still think those are all way worse than that movie.
It's about emotional reaction.
It just hurt your feelings more, yeah.
It made me so angry, and it's so bad on every level except for cinematography. It is astoundingly bad to me.
We would just like to say farewell and thanks for watching to all the subscribers we just
and
lost
it's
again.
the only thing I've seen that has completely killed an entire franchise. I have no interest in Star Wars moving forward.
Yeah.
I will probably end up seeing Transformers 6 because I'm a masochist. And I'm too curious. And then Flatliners is my number one because
my 4.
I can't believe I forgot about. I blocked those out. Why would you put those back in my head? I blocked those out.
My 4 would have been Dark Tower.
My 4 would have been okay. So because you gave me some, it would be
Ragnarok at 4.
No. Ragnarok's way off the list now. So it would be The Mummy, Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah. And I didn't see The Mummy.
Yeah, The Mummy, Ghost in the Shell, Transformers, Last Jedi. I'll put Last Jedi at the end of the bottom list. Last Jedi, The Mummy, Ghost in the Shell, Transformers. Flatliners.
Yeah. All right. And I just want to apologize again for dragging you to that movie. We didn't even review it. We were like, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's the only thing.
We don't even want to call attention to the. There was something else. You know what else we didn't review? Should we even bring it up?
Yeah,
we've never talked. We've never
talked about this. It's a secret.
And I kind of don't want to. I kind of love that we have not had to worry about the backlash we would have gotten.
It's a year out.
That.
Everyone's forgotten that movie happened.
Neither of us cared for Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts
we really didn't like it.
Dreadful, and we both walked out. And
I know a lot of people.
I don't want
to
talk about that.
I just didn't even want to talk about it.
But here's the thing about the people that love that movie. I also haven't heard everyone that I know that said they really liked that movie has never brought it up again.
That's interesting.
The Harry Potter movies come up before that comes up. Like,
I don't think
one
person that says it's better than all of those other films, and I don't understand that. But
wow, you want to talk about total inconsistencies?
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
At least Thor didn't go back and forth between fun whimsical comedy and like not okay for children to see.
That's how I felt about it. Let's move on, shall we? Okay, so excited about the comments.
Look, it's our opinion. You guys look. I know 50% of you love Last Jedi, and 50% of you love me for putting it on my 5 worst films of the.
It's like politics, and I
cannot call like most movies. I can tell like this person's gonna like this movie, this person's not gonna like this movie. Complete coin flip with everyone. I find it fascinating.
It is. It's really interesting. Yeah. Okay. So we are now going to jump to something completely different. Well, it's about movies.
For something.
It's about new movies. Eric is going to review The Greatest Showman with my sister. Believe it or not. So we're going to cut to that right now, and then Eric and I will be back with you with some more movie reviews. So enjoy this review with Eric and my sister with me looming in the background.
I apologize for how awkward I'm going to be. It's been a long time on a webcam, and I could not figure out where to look. I'm always in the background. I was like, I've forgotten how to do this. Or I'm looking at this.
Well, it would have been really awkward if I was there the whole time.
No, I know. We're just talking over you, but no, I was just like, oh man, is that what my face looks like? Is that what my facial features are? Oh,
now
stop making that face.
Now that's all anyone's going to be able to notice. Okay,
I'm going to call attention to it.
We're going to cut to The Greatest Showman review, and we'll be right back.
If I seem uncomfortable, it has nothing to do with Cap's sister. It is me looking at myself in the camera.
We are joined now by my sister, Lindsay. Lindsay, say hi.
Hi.
She is going to help Eric talk a little bit about Greatest Showman. I didn't get around to seeing this movie, so I'm going to just kind of linger here in the background while they're chatting about this for a few minutes. And I just didn't get to it. I wasn't able to make it a priority. So I'll see it when it comes on video. I got to tell you guys, I was a little bit turned off by just the notion that it was a musical because the first trailer gave us no indication.
Yeah, that kind of wasn't okay that the first trailer had no music in it whatsoever.
So I had no idea it was a musical, and that was really strange. So I was like, I'll just see what people say. But Lindsay liked it a lot, and you said it was pretty good. So anyway, why don't you guys go ahead and get into it?
Okay. You want to
start? Okay. You can go first.
Okay.
You were the guest.
Well, I thought it was funny. I went on and kind of looked at a couple of critic reviews after I saw it to kind of get a feel for it. Because in the moment, I was like, yeah, I really like it. And then after I thought about it for a while, I was like, it had some problems. For those that don't know, I am a music teacher. And so for me, there's a lot of just things about the music field in general that kind of turned me off about the music. Now, the soundtrack I can't stop listening to because the soundtrack is fantastic on its own. But when you put it with the film, I didn't feel like the two fit because they're two totally different time periods. And I have an issue with, I think the biggest issue I had was that the character that was playing the opera singer did not sing an operatic song. So I'm like, you have an opera singer singing a pop song. Great. Now all the kids are going to think that pop is opera. From a teacher standpoint, that just sucks. It's like, okay, how are we going to twist their minds thinking, okay, they think this is pop or this is opera, but it's really pop. How do we switch that? So now there's a difficulty in the music education field of getting kids to think that opera is actually opera. Thank you to those that created the film. Great.
Did you have that problem with it, Eric? Just the anachronism?
No, that didn't bother me. The thing that bothered me the most about the music is while seeing the film, all the songs felt very samey to me. I've listened to a couple of them out of context, and I like them out of context, but my biggest issue is all of the songs felt very similar.
They are very similar, and I actually finally was able to watch La La Land this week as well, which I totally hated. So
everyone I know that loves musicals hates that movie.
That hates La La Land?
Yeah. Everyone I know that actually like musicals is a thing they do hates that movie.
Yeah, I love musicals. I really do. And I think the biggest thing about The Greatest Showman, which was weird, this is weird coming from me. I mean, just ask Captain Logan. This is weird coming from me, okay? This film would have been better if it wasn't a musical. I fully believe that. Because there were so many things about...
That's what I was worried about!
I don't agree because I think it gets away with a lot by being a musical that I wouldn't have accepted if it played it straight. If it played it straight, it would be too sappy for me, but it gets away with it more because it's a musical.
Well, and there are some musicals that don't have music going the entire time, which makes them work, like The Producers and a couple of other films. But with this one, it's almost constant music the entire film. And they did a lot of rushing of the backstory of P.T. Barnum because of the fact that they did the backstory within a couple of the songs. And so because they did that within a 3.5-minute song, they had to cram in about 10 years of stuff in 3.5 minutes.
He also doesn't age over the course of what I think is 20 or 30 years.
That is true. That is true.
I also, when seeing it, I thought it was really weird to do a reprise, right?
A reprise?
A reprise.
Yeah.
As the second song. They play a song, and then they do the reprise of the song second. I was like, oh, they only wrote one song. That was a smart choice for this film.
Yeah, that's true. I actually thought it was really smart that in the opening song, they kind of cut it in half, and then they finished it at the very end of the film. So they bookend the movie that way, and that was brilliant. Another thing that I thought was brilliant about this film was the choreography. I have not seen that clean cut of choreography since Chicago.
The one with the what do you call that? Yeah, I want to say tightrope, but it wasn't tightrope she's doing. She's doing the acrobatics. Yeah. That one's amazing.
I wasn't even there.
Yeah. All of the choreography is really well.
That's true.
And because I'm so into music and stuff, I am so critical of everything, which makes seeing musicals and seeing concerts and things really difficult for me because I sit there and I'm like, you suck. This is not good. Why are you doing this? Like, I just critique the whole time and I hate it. So for this film, for me to enjoy that choreography is a big deal because that choreography, I watched all the background dancers too, and every single person was on point. And that is rare to find in a musical because of what they're doing on screen.
Oh, interesting.
Eric, when you say it's really sappy, but it kind of works because it's a musical, like what?
I feel like it would be
the music
more.
Out, what would it do to it?
They would have to convey a lot of that through dialogue that I don't think could ever be convincing. Mm-hmm. You can get away with it more in a song.
Do they tell a lot of their story actually through the music?
Yes, almost entirely.
That's nice.
Almost entirely. So, like, there's a love story that I don't think I'd buy in the runtime they have and the scenes that they're given if it was dialogue driven, but you can get away with that when it's just a song. It's like, now they're in love. and now they're like really in love. Like I can buy that more than if it was
like
entirely
Simba and Nala.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's a lot of stuff like that where I just feel like there's like a shorthand with musicals where like you already go in understanding like this is not what the real world, these are not real people. So I can buy that in a single conversation, Hugh Jackman can convince a wealthy socialite writer of famous plays to come join his circus. I don't know if I'd buy that in a single scene in if it was entirely written. I think it gets away with a lot of that stuff because it's a musical.
I don't think it would have been a single scene if it was written, though. I think they would have elongated a lot of that stuff because they would have had to.
Yeah.
And when he was asking people to join his circus, he only asked like 2 people out of the 15 that they showed. And it would have been nice to see just the other dynamics of those people and brought out just a little bit more. I was more interested in the actual people of the circus, even though, yes, it was about him and that was the main story, was his background and how he came to be the person he was. But it would have been a lot more interesting from an audience's standpoint, from a history base, to know a little bit more about those people and why they decided to join the circus and all that stuff.
Did you listen to any of the music before you saw the film?
No, I did not.
Okay, because I've talked to a couple people who went in and were disappointed by the lack of character development and featuring of kind of like the freak show people, because they went in having heard the freak show people song and thought the whole movie was going to be about that more.
Right.
Because I didn't feel like I needed any more development for any of the background characters, really, because it's about him. And so it was about him, and I was really invested in his story. So I didn't mind. I needed more with Zac Efron. Because I don't fully understand his arc by the end of the film.
Right.
Because the way it plays in the movie is Hugh Jackman's been off doing stuff, and he's been running the circus.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hugh Jackman comes back and says, "Oh, I've made a terrible mistake. I'm going to focus on what's important." And then he hands the circus over to Zac Efron, which is what was happening before, and I couldn't exactly track that. And Zac Efron was so excited, whereas before he was angry, and I didn't fully understand what was going on with his character.
I think most of the reason why he was excited to take it over was because of the love affair he had with the acrobat.
But that was happening before. When he was running the circus before he was officially running the circus.
Yeah, that's true. But
I didn't understand why.
But he was in love with her at first sight. So he saw her and he's like, "Who is that? Tell me now," and all of that. And that's what made him invested in the circus. From my standpoint, it was all about her. So,
no, that makes sense. It's just near the end when Hugh Jackman leaves, and I was so happy he did not cheat on his wife, because I've seen a lot of biopics and I know how those go.
Right.
And he didn't. He was a good person.
Yes.
And that's surprising in biopics.
Is that true in real life? Do we know that?
I don't know. I did do a little bit of research, and I found out that P.T. Barnum, I wish this was in the movie, was a huge skeptic and like debunked lots of like psychics and stuff, and had like a standing like order of like, I will give you $1,000 if you can prove to me you can talk to the afterlife. I was like, man, I wish that was in the movie. That'd be cool. That could get a whole song.
Well, don't you think there's a whole it's playing before my very eyes. Don't you guys think there's maybe a whole other movie to be made based on this material? Because I mean, like, I was expecting biopic, and then it turned out to be this fictionalized, musical thing. Like, I think maybe somebody should make another movie. I think
the other movie that can be made is a much more serious movie that goes into some of his political stuff. Because in my research, I did find that he was big into politics and things like that. I think if you made another movie, you would do less formulaic biopic and more like a warts and all biopic. A more serious portrayal of all of the guy's flaws and stuff. I don't mind it as much in this film because it works as a story.
Yeah, Lindsay, it does work as a story. Yes.
Lindsay, when you say that you wish it just wasn't musical, didn't have music, do you wish it was the same movie without music, or do you wish it was a more serious biopic like we're talking about?
I wish it was a more serious biopic. I think it would have been a better film. Also, I mean, nowadays I have issues with just musicals in general because, except for like Les Miserables, now they go into stupid auto-tune and nothing sounds authentic and real. And that's one of the reasons why I love Les Mis so much, is because that was the first musical where they didn't dub the vocals, and the vocals were done within the film. And even Hugh Jackman's character, was done within the film. And so everything came from the heart, and it was real, and you could hear the emotion. In the movie, the music sounds fake. There's no emotion. Now, when you listen to the soundtrack on its own, it doesn't have as much as that auto-tune, because they do it in the studio, and they're more in tune and more in pitch anyway. But in the film, everything is auto-tuned. You go and listen to it, and I have actually watched a couple of videos of their rehearsals, and it's more authentic. The emotion's there, it's raw, it's real, it brings me to tears. And I go and I watch those same scenes in the movie. I don't get that feeling because it's
so the music on the CD is not the same as what's in the film?
Not in my opinion.
Okay, because I've heard some of the stuff off the album, and I was like, oh, this is resonating with me more than it did in the film. Yes. So that makes sense.
I think it's a little bit more authentic. Another issue that I have is that Hugh Jackman is a baritone, and they keep giving him these parts that are tenor. And he I don't know if you noticed, I think it was in From Now On, the last song in the movie, he had a couple of high notes, and they faked it. And he cannot hit those high notes, because you go listen to him try to hit high notes in Les Mis, he can't hit those notes.
I was surprised after seeing Les Mis. I was like, oh, Hugh Jackman can sing. That's what people are talking about.
Yeah. Well, and he got his start on Broadway. So
I always knew, he's done a couple of musicals. I knew he does stage and stuff, but my only experience with him singing is Les Mis, and I did not care for that. Because I didn't think he was that good.
Because he was playing a tenor part. And he's a baritone. It makes a big difference. So, because he's got, in this film, there's only a couple of those spots where he's singing the high notes, because most of it he's in a baritone part. And I thought at first he wasn't. And then when I went back and listened to it, I was like, oh no, he's singing the low parts. And that's the meat of his voice. You can tell it sounds really good. You go to Les Mis, it's all a tenor part. Anywhere I've heard a couple of those songs outside of just the musical themselves with other people singing it, it's pure tenors. So, or even countertenors singing those parts.
Lindsay, am I right? It seems like most of the time leading men in musicals are tenors.
Yes.
And I think you could write a really good musical, especially if you knew that was who you were going to get in the first place, where it was a baritone part, and you wouldn't be the whole movie thinking, oh man, if only he was singing high notes, I'd be more invested.
Yes.
You could write a really good baritone musical, I think.
Well, and here's my other problem with it, is that here's what I was really happy with. I'm glad that they went ahead and casted Zac Efron, because he did a really great job in that part, and he can sing. I'm tired of these musicals where they get actors who can't freaking sing. So then they have to auto-tune it, and then it's just, there's no point. And then they're like, oh, they're so good, they get an Oscar for their acting. I'm like, their singing is part of their acting, and their singing sucked.
Well, the same thing happens with animated films, where we just get big names and we don't recognize that acting and voice acting are two different talents, and so you just get people that sound like they're sleeping through films.
Yeah.
So we do this with lots of things just so we can have big names. But Zac Efron was great in this. I really liked him. My favorite song in the film is the one between him and Hugh Jackman in the bar.
Yep, that's
the other side.
A great song, or it's written well, and that was one of the songs that I felt like really fit the film too, as far as the storyline. Because some of the other music, yes, it can be tied to the film, but it was kind of random in my opinion, and it didn't really go with the storyline, or it just popped out of nowhere. Like the "This Is Me" song from the Bearded Lady. It's a great song, but I was really hoping for a little bit more cohesion from the film going into that song, because now that we're talking about it, that was one that I actually did watch before I went and saw the film, and it's a wonderful song. It's done well, but it's just kind of placed in the movie. Like, okay, now we're going to give her this big song because, we think it's right. And there was just no cohesion.
Well, and it's also kind of cutting away from some of the focus of the film. I think this film doesn't really know if it's about entrepreneurship or if it's about acceptance. And I feel like there's kind of a divide at that point where it's like, well, we're doing both. We're trying to have both ideas, and I don't think it exactly gels, because I didn't like it's a really good song, but I feel like it's wasting time away from the P.T. Barnum side of it. given that up to that point he's been super accepting, we kind of just threw him under the bus in that one scene, so that they could have their song of being like, oh, people don't like us, even this guy doesn't like us. I was like, yeah, but up to this point, he's been the only person in the entire city that likes you.
Yeah, but that was when he started being like, I want to hide this part of my life because I want to show something that's real. So in a way, it kind of worked, but they just did it so quickly. That's my problem, is some of the major points that they hit on were so quick in the film. And if they had spent a little bit more time on it, it would have been just a way better film overall.
How long is it?
It's about an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's a tight, like, hour and a half.
Oh, so it sounds like it could have stood to be longer even.
Yes.
I kind of liked how short it was because, like, it was just, like, a real fun... It was quick. I don't know. I feel like if it had gone longer, I might have gotten annoyed. Or I might have gotten bored. I liked how short it was because I didn't have to invest myself in more than it was asking me to.
But then there are things that you guys are both saying you needed to spend more time on.
Yeah, it's true.
So it sounds like it's not a pacing issue. It's just there were things you guys were missing character-wise.
Yeah.
Substance issue. So, because, like you said, I mean, it hit on the entrepreneurship, and then it hit on the acceptance side of it. And nowadays, in today's society, that both of those things are a real big deal. Everybody's hitting on them. Being accepted, being who you are. Be different. Don't be like everybody else. And then on the other side, make a name for yourself. So, I mean, I get where the film's coming from. I think it was good points. I just think it could have been done better.
Well, and it seems like this story got told here maybe because some of those social issues are at the forefront, but it doesn't say anything about them. Like, they're just kind of there. Yeah. It's not adding anything to that conversation in any real way.
And I have to say, I was pretty disappointed because in the opening of the film, when they started with when he finally makes it to the circus and everything, that opening song, I got chills. I mean, it's fantastic. And then I just felt like it kind of went downhill. And I didn't have the chill factor pretty much the rest of the film. So it was just, it started out so cool and so awesome and like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I went to go see this. And then about 3 minutes later, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. So
one of the things I do think is interesting is because I looked at the critical reception afterwards, and I think it's got like a 50 something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's got 5%. I looked it up the other day.
But everyone I've spoken to, because I work in a retail store, and we've had a number of people come in and ask for the soundtrack to this. Everyone that comes in to my store that has seen it is like, it might be one of the greatest musicals ever made. Like, I love this movie. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So there might be a bit of a divide critically and commercially on that. Because everyone I've talked to, like, adores the film.
All of the music teachers I've talked to are having a little bit of the same issues that we did with La La Land. But all of my high school students are loving this film. I mean, and honestly, on a family standpoint, it's a very enjoyable film. I mean, if you're going for a good family film, go see it. I mean, it's a great film that, should be seen on screen. It's beautifully done. It's got lots of color. Like I said, the choreography is fantastic. There were a couple of issues that I found, though, in a couple of the songs in the film. I don't find it in the soundtrack, but in the film, some of the vocals and the instrumental stuff didn't line up together.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, there were some timing issues. As part of being an expert in the field. So that kind of bothered me just a little bit, because I'm like, if you're going to do a musical, make sure that it's in time and it's done right.
Especially if it's a thing that didn't need to be a musical necessarily, and that you didn't even tell us was in the first place.
Yes, exactly. But I have to say that I think Hugh Jackman was the right choice for that part, though.
Yeah, I thought he was great. Yeah,
in my opinion, he's probably the best part about that film.
It was really nice after Logan to see him smile.
Did you guys think it was interesting, and this is obviously a total coincidence, that movie comes out the year, or was it this year? Is it end of last year or beginning of this year?
No, it's December.
Okay. Yep. Is it really interesting that movie comes out the year the circus shuts down?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if they knew that when they started making the movie, or if they did it because the circus was shutting down.
Unless, unless that had been news and I didn't know about it, and then when it finally shut down for real, everyone then found out about it. But I just think that's really interesting, and that if they did know it, they made such like an upbeat, fun kind of movie out of it.
Yeah,
that could have been really depressing.
And it does kind of seem to be like, and this is going to be here forever.
Yeah,
we've changed. Also, someone can tell me in the comments if this is correct or not, but it feels wrong to me. They basically say that P.T. Barnum invented the term circus, and I'm pretty sure that's not right.
No, because, I mean, if you look at it in the film, he got it from a reporter.
Well, he doesn't invent the word, but he invents it for the use of exactly what he's doing, and I'm pretty sure the Russians were doing that for a very long time before America got in that game.
Yeah, I think that was an inaccurate fact there. So.
And I don't think in the trailer it says he created the term show business, but I'm pretty sure that's not in the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Why don't you guys? I know, Lindsay, you're not actually here with us in the room, so you don't have a sign. But let's go ahead and do the sign flip. Eric, are you feeling it or not?
I will go with feeling it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I agree. It's probably a good family movie or a good like date movie. I thought it was just a really enjoyable, kind of disposable kind of a movie. It's not something that I think you need to see 100 times, but like I think it's worth seeing at least once. Like I think it's an enjoyable experience while you're there.
It's something that I will probably own in my collection, even though I have issues with it, because like I said, the music is still fantastic. I've been listening to the soundtrack. My son loves the soundtrack. So, I mean, the music by itself is great. I just wish they would stop mixing modern stuff with like the 20s. Okay? Stop it. What's the point? It doesn't work. Don't do it.
It's because they don't think it's sellable to a modern audience if it's older music.
That's probably what it is. And I don't think everything's like that. I think there are intentional anachronisms.
And this is...
Flo and I did a whole GNN about that, about like when it can be cool to intentionally take one era and sandwich it on top of another era. But it doesn't sound like you guys are, or at least Lindsay isn't loving that.
This is a real obvious commercial movie. Like this doesn't feel like it's a real like super artistic vision. So I think it makes sense that a movie that's just trying to be like popcorn commercial film would just use kind of modern-y sounding music to sell it to people. Whether that's artistically right or wrong, I don't think this movie is like deep enough or smart enough for me to really be annoyed by that personally. But I'm also not.
Do you
think
they made
person.
it a musical to make it accessible?
No,
they thought
no.
music will be the thing that will get more people.
No, I don't think so.
Because it did. This movie would not have sold as well if it was just a biopic.
Well, we can't know that because we don't know how they would have sold that movie.
Well, that's true.
I do love that they made it family friendly and that it's PG. I love that because it's really hard to find a film nowadays that I can watch in front of my son. So that's good.
Lindsay, would you flip your sign green if you had a sign?
If I had a sign, yeah, maybe. I've like halfway in between. I'm going to go with the 50-50. Like, yes, I'm feeling it to an extent. It's an enjoyable film, but on a critic standpoint, on a music teacher standpoint, there's a lot of issues with it.
Well, Lindsay, thanks for being here. We sure appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And come back again for a musical or something else. And you know what? I might even see the movie next time.
You should. You should actually see what we're talking about.
I would be really interested to see what you think of it.
Time. Yeah, I want to see it. I just didn't get to it. Anyway, well, and we were just going to have Eric talk about it, but then Lindsay sent me a message. She was like, hey, can we review that? I'm like, you can review it with Eric. He saw it. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on now to the rest of how we felt about. And Lindsay, thanks again. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
So now we're going to move on to a movie.
You all saw it, right? You saw my face? You saw how awkward that was? You all saw it.
We're going to move on now to... I hope you guys enjoyed that. My sister really wanted to review that movie with me, and I didn't get a chance to see it. And so I was like, well, Aaron's there, yeah. But anyway, so now we're going to talk about a movie that I am going to have to rack my brain to remember very well, because we watched this weeks ago. And I know you're going to have quite a bit to say, and hopefully it jogs my memory a little bit. I'm sort of... I didn't love this. I'm sort of nonplussed by it. I'm not going to have a lot to say. So Eric, and maybe a little bit of me, going to talk a little bit about Bright, which a lot of people... So Netflix released had huge ratings as far as the number of people who watched it. Like, it was astounding how many people watched it, but was considered by a lot of critics to be the worst movie of last year. Now, you notice, neither of us put that on our worst movies of last year.
No, to put that on the worst movie of last year, I think would be obnoxious.
And even though I didn't care for it, I don't think it's a terrible film. I don't think it's a great movie. There's a lot of things I would have done differently with that. But anyway, so this is Will Smith in an alternate present day with I think it's present day, right?
It is present day.
With a world of magical creatures. It's supposed to be like a urban fantasy, but with like sort of sorcery fantasy. And how'd you feel about it?
I liked it.
Because I know you were really looking forward to that.
I was. It is a concept that I have been waiting for years for someone to do.
Yeah.
I don't understand why no one's ever done this before this. What happens when Lord of the Rings hits modern day? Like, why... We always said it in the past. Why... Or if it does reach modern day, it's like a hidden society. It's like Harry Potter. It's right there. Why has no one ever done this? Finally, someone did it, and it's okay. I don't love it. I think it's a little long.
I thought it dragged real hard in the middle. It was hard to stay awake, I thought.
I agree. Well, we also watched it pretty late. But I haven't gone back to it. I wanted to go back to it before we did this, and I haven't gotten a chance to.
Sure. Yeah. So it's not fresh in your mind.
It's not fresh in my mind.
On this.
I liked it. One of the things I liked about it, that when we discussed it afterwards, was the thing you did not like about it.
Yeah.
I liked that we made a real, raw, like, 80s adult film. There's nudity for no reason. We're in a club with nudity. There's violence for no reason. Like, I miss adult genre films. It felt like a Verhoeven, not as poignant as a Verhoeven movie, but it felt like a Verhoeven.
That level of satire.
I miss that. I was happy that we got that.
I guess my thing is, I was so excited about the idea that you're talking about that you've always wanted of. Let's do urban sword and sorcery fantasy, that I didn't need that to also be mixed in with RoboCop. Like,
that's fair.
I liked the Men in Blackness of it, and it didn't stay on that realm enough for me. Like,
that's totally fair.
So ultimately, it becomes a thing that is like more your movie than mine twice. Like in two totally different ways. Like, you like fantasy more than me,
and I like cop movies more than you.
And you like dirty raunchy things better than I do.
Yep. And I wouldn't exactly call this
raunchy,
but I don't know how else you would just, because I almost use the word raunchy as well.
Sure.
Yeah. I like trashy things more than you do.
Yeah.
I liked it. The only time I've ever seen anything like the reaction I've seen for Bright is Transformers 2.
I really don't know why people hate it so
much.
Where
there's like a huge disparity between critics and normal people.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I've ever seen something like this is Transformers 2. And I get Transformers 2. Worst movie of the year. They didn't see Transformers, right?
Yeah,
they didn't see Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I get not liking it.
And I'll go ahead and do this. I'm going to flip my sign red because I didn't care for it, but it's not the worst thing I saw last year. It's not even bad. It's just
not your thing.
This just means I'm not feeling it. I don't have any need to go back.
And I'll go with feeling it. I liked it. I will say this: the same thing that everyone on the planet who did like this movie has said.
Yeah,
should have been a TV series.
Yeah, and it feels like a pilot.
It feels like a pilot. I'm interested to see what they do for a sequel. I hope they open the world up a bit more and get more into the fantasy elements, because I do think the big mistake that it made is...
I'm intrigued enough to watch a sequel.
Yeah.
It is going to be weird that Max Landis isn't involved, though, right?
It sounds like they rewrote his script quite a bit, and
so maybe
his original script is online. We could go read that.
Okay.
Matt read it, and
he
was telling me about. He's like, there's like 3 races that just aren't in the movie.
Well, that was the thing I wondered about. Where, like you said, it's not opened up enough. Like, I want to know more about the society.
Yeah, it feels like there's orcs and elves, and I'm like, okay, but like also like traditional fantasy races like dwarves and gnomes and things like that, they're not present. They have no halflings. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think the biggest mistake that I hope they avoid, and maybe it was a budgetary thing. No, it wasn't, because it's $90 million. This is a $90 million movie.
Really expensive movie.
And I think it looks good. I think like it could have been on the big screen.
I agree with that. I didn't see $90 million really.
Well,
it did look.
Here's the problem with $90 million for me. Do you know what cost $90 million? Alien Covenant cost $90 million. It doesn't look like Alien Covenant.
Yeah, you also don't have anybody that commands the kind of money that Will Smith does in Alien Covenant.
That's true.
So when you say $90 million, how much of that is just Will Smith's take?
80.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
remember that in the
maybe
mid-90s,
10,
there were a couple of movies where he commanded as much as 20 or 30 by himself. If it is a $90 million movie, he might have gotten a quarter of that. I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know what he, how much he makes on a movie, but
I think the biggest issue with the film is in that middle act, we almost forget we're a fantasy film.
Yeah.
And we just have a bunch of shootouts. And we do a bunch of car chases, but we don't do a cool fantasy car chase. It's not like a car chase and somebody's on a broomstick and somebody else is doing something else and trees are attacking. We didn't do a cool you've never seen this before car chase. We did a normal car chase with guns.
Well, the thing is, it's magical creatures in a world where nobody really has access to magic until there's a magical wand.
Yeah.
And it would be more fun to see that universe with more actual magic users in it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of questions about
and the elf society looked really interesting.
Yeah,
I want to know more about that. And looked horrifying. The class warfare stuff was really interesting, but I still think you can do all that stuff without it being as relentless as what it was. For me, it felt like Fantasy District 9. And you know how much I hate District 9.
Yeah, I do know how much you hate District 9. I also don't like District 9, but not nearly as much as you don't like District 9.
I had that feeling about it, at least about the...
Well, Will Smith's at least more likable.
That's the thing, is the characters weren't that... And you know what? I thought his partner was likable.
Yeah,
I thought the orc
was
good, yeah.
But no, I liked it. I really... One of the biggest problems...
I think there are also places where it's really tongue-in-cheek and that's fun and it gets kind of Whedon-y and it doesn't do that enough.
It does do that. There is one scene near the end where I'm like, are we just not calling cut? Will Smith did 6 one-liners in a row at the end of that movie and I was like, wait, is this movie not ending? What's happening? Have you tricked me? Am I trapped? Am I trapped here listening to Will Smith improv for 2 hours?
Wait, is this why it's the worst movie last year?
Oh no, it just keeps going! That's why there's 3 hours left on the runtime.
The last 5 minutes is just Groundhog Day in this world. Oh no.
One of the bigger things that I think breaks down about the movie, or needs to be explored in a sequel, that after you watch it, I didn't really think about it that much as I was watching it. The parallel history is weird.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that was my biggest complaint.
It's weird that we have normal gangster stuff, and the orcs are also gangsta guys, and we talk about the Alamo.
Your history would not unfold that way, and Black Lives Matter is mentioned, or was it
Fairy Lives Don't Matter,
right? But I felt like they had exactly the same racial issues and things that we have now on top of the actual magical races.
And I've heard there's less of that in the Landa script.
I feel like things would unfold differently where maybe we would be more colorblind if we were... I don't know, but it's not thoughtful about it. It doesn't talk about it. I feel like maybe we would think differently about skin color and how that divides us as human beings when we're
you have orcs
oppressing
and elves.
Other races that are actually physically different than us, genetically different from us. But there were too many pop culture references and stuff to things where I'm like,
Shrek.
I don't know if that would exist in this world.
Yeah, Shrek doesn't exist in this world.
I just didn't buy that.
Also, if I have one request of the sequel, can you explain to me what blooded means? Because neither of us understood what that meant.
I didn't get that. And I felt like I don't need a movie to hold my hand, but I felt like maybe I just wasn't invested enough. Maybe this is why it was. There were things I was confused about, where you'd have a character that I thought was 2 characters and turned out to be the same character. Things like that were I just didn't care enough. That's probably all it was.
Like we said, I liked it more than you. I don't understand the reaction. I don't understand the critical reaction to this film. Most normal people seem to really like it, or at least be lukewarm. And I've met no one and seen no one on the internet that says worst movie of the year.
And it has real potential. It's not like that's... I don't want to even say unsalvageable. It's not a horrible movie, but you could make a much better sequel.
Absolutely. You absolutely could. I hope they do.
Let's go ahead and move on now to... why don't you talk about something, Eric, that you watched by yourself? I don't know what this is. You watched something called Howl's Moving Castle. Can you tell me what that is?
Yeah.
Or is that a movie?
Yeah, it's a Miyazaki film.
Okay, yeah, tell us about that. Oh, that's right. That's what that one is. Go ahead.
It'll be one of kind of 2. Howl's Moving Castle is a movie. I don't like Miyazaki, but also that's not really fair. I've seen 2 Miyazaki films, and I just kind of combined my issues with those 2 films and have said all of Miyazaki films are both of these films at the same time. My issues with both of them, which is not fair. I realized at some point, I was like, I don't know if I've actually given Hayao Miyazaki a chance. I just didn't like Princess Mononoke. My girlfriend...
Spirited Away? Because I like Spirited Away, okay.
I'm not. And I also like Kiki's Delivery Service. My girlfriend really likes Miyazaki, and so is making me watch Miyazaki movies. And Steven Universe. Eventually I'll talk about that. So we sat down, we watched Howl's Moving Castle. I made her watch The Nice Guys. She made me watch Howl's Moving Castle.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did she think of The Nice Guys?
She liked it.
Really? That's good.
I don't think it's possible
was
not
she just
to like
being
The Nice
really
Guys.
nice to you?
No, I don't think it's possible to not like it. Like, it cannot be your thing, and you can't walk away saying it's a bad movie.
No,
you just can't.
No, I mean, you know, like, you might not have, you know, loved having to sit through it, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah. Howl's Moving Castle is a fantasy world that's kind of separate from ours. Like, it is a complete fantasy. It's not like an alternate Earth or anything like that.
It's totally different from what we just talked about.
Also, I saw this New Year's, so
yeah.
It's been like a month and a half, so I'm not going to try and go into the details
There's going to be a lot of that on the end of this tonight, folks.
Sorry. I liked it. It is a beautiful film. It is really like fairy tale-y, which is what I get a lot of Miyazaki films are. My only real issue with it is, one of the things I don't like about Miyazaki is I think Miyazaki is incredibly preachy. And we get to the end of it, and I was like, oh, he really, like, behaved himself. Like, he didn't really push, like, there's a war going on, it's not great, and then it's, like, a real anti-war movie. I was like, okay, like, nobody likes war. Like, this is weird. I don't like it, like, my least favorite Dr. Seuss book is the Butter Battle book. I hate it when people act like war is completely trivial. Like, every war is fought over something completely trivial. And that's kind of what this does, although...
Because it makes it seem too easy. It's disingenuous.
Yeah. No, there's no complex issues
wars
here.
Wars are difficult to avoid. That you should avoid them if you can, but yeah.
So
we're not going to learn anything as people, as a species, if we pretend like that's easy.
Yeah,
if it was easy. Yeah, we wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. And if we acted like the simplest things. Now, I mean, it's not the Butter Battle book, but it is a thing where it's like, well, there was just like this little mistake, and now a decades-long war has started, and like I was like, I don't know about that. I know there's a couple of things I was confused about, but like overall, I liked the film. I thought it was good. Yeah, I'll go with feeling it. I was feeling Howl's Moving Castle.
Was it moving? Does it move? Is it a castle that moves?
You'll find this interesting. Pre-Batman, Christian Bale. Christian Bale voices Howl.
Oh, interesting.
And there is a point where he does the Batman voice. There was like
really?
There was like a 10-second bit before he does Batman. He did the Batman voice when he was being angry.
To just to hear him as that character? Because I don't think of him as a voice artist. Like,
well, he was in Pocahontas.
Was he really?
Yeah, he's someone in Pocahontas.
I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, he's in Pocahontas.
So you used to do more voice work. I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
At least twice he's done voice work.
Wow.
Yep.
That's really interesting.
But yeah, no, it's good. And the Miyazaki films, they always kind of pull out all the stops and get...
That probably explains why, before he was huge, it wasn't hard to get him to do the Batman Begins video game.
You're probably right.
That's really interesting.
The Miyazaki films usually pull out all the stops. Like, one of the scripts, I think it was Princess Mononoke, they got Neil Gaiman to write the script. Like they translated over and he was the one that did the script. Like, they always pull out all the stops and get, like, big name stuff. I liked it. It was good. News to no one, I'm sure.
Let's go back to Netflix.
Sure.
And talk about Godzilla Planet of Monsters.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to say this straight up. Real quick, if I may.
Yeah.
I have incrementally cared more about monster things and Godzilla specifically since you moved here.
Sure.
It makes it easier for us to live together. And, we've watched a couple of really good Godzilla things since you got here. Specifically Shin Godzilla.
Yep.
Y'all's, this is my Godzilla.
Sure.
Holy crap! I mean, it's just straight up science fiction. It's a really fascinating kind of near future. They do the time displacement thing, which I love exploring, and like and it's just gorgeous. Like I like.
Once you adjust to the animation style.
Yeah, but I liked it a lot. You know what though? That didn't take me any time at all. I thought it would. That didn't really take me any time at all. Well, okay, there were things about it that were distracting because it was like you have what looked like flat characters on top of other characters that are, on top of, like, they're standing on top. But I just mean, in the frame with characters with more depth and stuff. Like, it didn't really feel like it fit together. That was somewhat problematic, I guess. But everything looked just, this movie looks like it takes 10 years to make.
Yeah. And we've got another one coming out in May. I don't know if we're getting it in May, but it comes out in Japan. This one came out in November in Japan, so if it's May, we'll probably get it by July.
This is another thing where I was really wrapped up in the mood of it.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite thing about this movie is it makes 100% sense that it's an anime. Japan could not make this movie on the budgets that they make movies on.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It makes so much sense you would make this as an animated feature.
To be fair, we couldn't make this movie, really. Not make it look as good in live action.
Maybe James Cameron or Ridley Scott, but yeah.
Maybe so, but but it's going to get too big. You can already tell.
That's
true.
When
we get to Planet Godzilla,
when we get to the second and third films, you're right.
It's gonna get too big.
We should tell everyone this is the first in a trilogy. Netflix lists it weird. Everything I've read says it is a film trilogy. Netflix lists it as Part 1, Episode 1. It is a movie,
and I don't know what that means. That's redundant. Part 1, Episode 1. Does that mean there's multiple parts? With
the only way that would make sense is if they broke the movie into 3 episodes. That would be the only way that would make sense to me.
Yeah.
I also adored it. I was really excited for this movie because the writer of this film, and I believe director, or at least he was the guy overseeing. He might have physically directed it. His name is Gen Urobuchi. I have a love affair with Gen Urobuchi's work. He is my favorite working writer in Japan. He's amazing. Everything I've ever seen, he did the Fruit Kamen Rider. He did a 12-episode show called Madoka Magica, which is...
We're going to review Fruit Kamen Rider at some point, okay? I've been wanting to see this for a couple of years now.
Yeah. And I need to go back through it because I only watched through it the once, and it's amazing. But no, this was just... I love that it was a movie that made us question, are we supposed to be on this guy's side? Are we not? Am I supposed to be with it? And then you get to the end, and it's a very definitive, no, this guy's kind of crazy, and it's a film about hubris. Yep. And all of your leads are, just full of it. And it kind of lets you figure that out.
It hasn't been long enough for us to have really learned anything yet. We're blaming everything on the monster, and we're not looking enough at the things that we did that created this problem. Because after all, Godzilla is a thing that we make happen, or at least the thing that leads him to do to come to us, and but at the same time, it's been how long is it?
20,000 years.
Yeah, where it's been all this time, but it hasn't been any time at all because with the time displacement. And that was the thing that took us a minute to figure out, where it's wait, is it a generational shift? Oh, wait, no, it's still the same. It's still a first generation. And then they get back, and you see how much the planet has changed, and Godzilla just rules it now. And I just really enjoyed all the mythology and the backstory where they tried Mechagodzilla and that didn't work, and
they couldn't finish making it.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
This is another thing that we have not seen in weeks. So
there's also a really fun thing where the aliens that show up to help make Mechagodzilla are based on the gorillas that made Mechagodzilla in the original, and then the other aliens are based on the Zillions.
I forgot about that. Yeah, we have 2 alien races that both showed up.
They both look kind of human, which is kind of fun because they both look kind of human in the original films.
Yeah, it's real faithful to that stuff.
Yeah.
But they used the medium, like you said earlier, to its furthest degree. So, at first I kind of wanted them to look more alien, but then I found out that they came from something, and so they look like they looked, and that's really cool.
Do you want to talk about the big twist ending?
Yeah, this will be spoilery, so if you don't want to know about this is for people that have seen it, so if you don't want to know about this, just skip to the next timestamp, and for the next thing that we review. But yeah, bring that up, let's talk about it.
Well, actually, before we get to that, I just want to say, one of the things that's really amazing about this film is, I was not wanting for Godzilla. We take a while to get to him.
Yeah,
I was not sitting around being like, and when does Godzilla get here? When are you going to get to that? The entire third act is basically Godzilla. We say multiple times throughout the film, nothing stays the same for 20,000 years.
Yeah.
And we come back, and there's a Godzilla, and he looks just like Godzilla when we left, and people were like, 20,000 years, he can't be exactly...
And
nothing stays the same.
The big thing I'm wondering is, you land anywhere on that planet and he just shows up? Like, what is he, a speedster? Like,
they mentioned something about him being able to, like, sense them or something, I think.
That's right.
But, so, they have this big climactic battle where, like, they just throw everything at the wall and, like, we're going to take down Godzilla, and they do. They beat Godzilla. And you're like, well, how is this a three-thing movie? Then a mountain explodes, and a huge Godzilla shows up, and they're like, oh, that was like a baby Godzilla. This is the Godzilla that was here 20,000 years ago. It has been evolving.
The whole time and getting bigger, and which is interesting, because that kind of, this is probably not intentional, but that reminds me of Shin Godzilla.
Yeah. And we have some, like, information about the next one that sounds like Mechagodzilla is going to be a living city.
Yeah, that's
which would
so
be
cool.
Big enough to fight this giant Godzilla. Oh, it's so awesome.
It's so awesome. And like, this is one of those rare things where some of what I was most captivated by was exposition. I mean, it's real old school science fiction, like almost like a Who Goes There kind of thing, where it's like that, like, scientists just speculating a lot until you find out what it really is. And, like, there's some real character drama, although I think everybody is kind of pretty much an archetype.
It does feel kind of like this is what we would have done with, like, the golden age of science fiction with Godzilla, right?
That's what I'm loving about it, yeah.
Yeah. No, I hadn't thought of it in those terms, but you're right. Like, it feels like if, like, Asimov wrote Godzilla or something like that.
Yeah, and so whenever, or again, I'm thinking like the short story that The Thing is based on. Who Goes There, like it's a lot like that, where, like you hear all these people like trying to guess at what's going on, and it's not the movie telling you what it is. It's the movie telling you what it might be, and then it's going to surprise you even after you've already heard all the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was just really wrapped up in all that.
Yeah, no, it's great. Everyone should go watch it. Your mileage may vary on the animation style.
Sure, yeah.
It is that like cel-shaded CG thing that they're doing for some... Apparently all the properties I care about are the ones we're doing like this. Everything else gets to look like normal anime. But,
yeah, definitely feeling it hardcore.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited for the
wonderful.
next one. I can't wait.
Eric, why don't you talk about another movie that you did, Mary and the Witch's Flower?
Mary and the Witch's
Flower.
You
want to go there? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Which is the other kind of Miyazaki film.
Probably just should have had you talk about those together.
So here's the thing about this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps saying it's a Studio Ghibli film. Or is it Ghibli? I don't know. Everyone keeps saying that's the studio that makes Hayao Miyazaki films. They also make some other films, but they have a style. They all look in the same way that like Disney films were made by like different people, but they all have a like house style.
Yeah.
So there's a point where apparently people think Studio Ghibli is going to stop making movies, and a bunch of their like main guys leave and form their own company. Studio Ghibli did not stop making movies. So now we have two companies that both look like they're making the same kinds of movies.
It'd be like can tell which is which.
It'd be like if like DreamWorks, early DreamWorks had like all looked like Anastasia, like they were all doing like Disney movies.
That's funny.
So it's a good fun, not Miyazaki movie. The studio's called Studio Panache. I think it's Panache. It's spelled Panak, but I think it's Panache. It's good. It's real light and fun. I have one huge question, because it's about this girl who gets on a broomstick and gets flown to this like wizard school, and she's taken around this wizard school, and the teachers are like, there's two teachers, and they're like we're going to teach you to be a witch, and that's and of course you're a witch because you flew here on your broom, and they go around, they meet all these students. The two bad guys are kind of not evil, and if I have any complaint, it's that. There's a special feature after the film where the director was like, well, I didn't want them to be evil. I'm like, yeah, but that makes them idiots. I have never, like, they spend, I think it's 20 or 30 years building a machine that's going to do this thing, right? Whatever this thing is, it's going to turn people into, like, better people. The second they turn it on, it just goes wrong. Just immediately. I was like, well, maybe they're not the most evil people, but they're certainly incompetent. My biggest question is, at the end of the film, when we do the big, like, fight, none of the students are around, and I don't know where they all went. Like, they don't win them over, they're not working for the bad guys, like, there's just no students at the school, and I don't know where they went. Also, most adorable animated cat I've maybe ever seen. His girlfriend gets kidnapped, and he's real nonplussed by it. He's just annoyed the whole movie. He's great. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I saw it. I don't think it's on DVD yet. I saw it the one night only showing. It was good.
Yeah, it was like a Fathom thing. I saw a lot of commercials for that.
Yeah. If you like Studio Ghibli films, you'll like this. Also, if you think it's Studio Ghibli film, it's not.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will talk real briefly. Again, it's been weeks since I saw this, but my wife's gone twice. But my wife never sees these things without me.
She went and saw it.
She went and saw it twice. Yeah. So I saw Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and that movie was exactly what was advertised. You and I saw the previews for that. Thought it looked hysterical. It is precisely what's advertised, but a little more heartfelt, a little smarter, a little more going on than you might have expected with that, and was surprisingly much more of an honest-to-God sequel to that original movie than you ever would have expected. And
that's what you said. I have not gotten a chance to see it.
It's really cool because they're sort of two different genres of movies. In a way, I think it kind of slowly is turning into what the first movie was, at least by the end. But like the first movie is like a straight up adventure film with this kind of like tinge of terror. Like there's a real like creepy factor about, or not creepy, but just this like really good suspense factor. Like Jumanji could have been like if Goosebumps was a smart show, it could have been a Goosebumps episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't make these anymore, but it's like a scary family movie.
Yeah, precisely. This is not that. This is more of a straight-up comedy, except there are stakes, and you are a little bit concerned about your characters, and that's really nice. And then at the end, or as it goes along, it feels more and more like they're very much cemented in the same world. And the way in which it's a direct sequel, and here's a minor spoiler, the way they work in the background up to this point for the Robin Williams character from the first movie is really well handled.
Interesting.
It's really cool that that's that. Basically, inside Jumanji, because instead of Jumanji stuff coming to us, we go there via a video game version of it, of Jumanji. One big question, again, hopefully this is not a huge spoiler if you haven't seen this movie, but one big question I had was why by the end of it doesn't turn like... or does it turn back into the board game? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But, like, you would have thought that they would have, like, some kind of sequel bait with this movie. They don't. There's no sequel bait at all.
That's interesting, because they've already announced a sequel.
Yeah. Well, it performed really well. It's really good. Like I think there is maybe a sequel there. But it's weird, because, like, you don't really know where the game is at the end, and that was kind of that was kind of weird. You would have thought that it
And you said there was a bit of too many of the jokes were in the trailer. Especially set up payoff jokes, you said.
I had that with it, but it's tough because... those are the things that made me want to see it, because some of those jokes were like the cake thing. So like my wife didn't know about that joke because she'd only seen the first trailer and thought that was hilarious in the moment. But like I saw that coming, because I had seen the trailer. So that was, I don't know. That's kind of unfortunate, but that's on the trailer before it's on the movie.
I feel like obviously. Yeah. I feel like that's the thing you could just have like. You could have just had the line in the trailer where it's like, my weakness is cake? Like, why do you need the... We talked about this. You shouldn't have set up and payoff jokes in your trailers.
I totally agree with that. What's really funny about it in the movie was then, because he's got 3 lives and he loses a life and then he comes back and he's like, I really thought maybe it was just... because they were like, you knew your weakness was cake. Why did you eat the cake? And he's like, well, I really thought... That maybe it was just like my weakness is cake in that I can't help but eat cake. I can't have enough cake. I didn't think it would blow me up, So probably the most impressive thing about the movie is, with one exception, how well the kids and adults that are the adults that are then playing the kids as the avatars in the game are very much the same characters, and those kids are brilliant. I wish they were the Power Rangers. Like, they're really good.
Wow.
And you don't expect them to get any more screen time. They book in the movie and they get a pretty decent amount of screen time at the end, and they have to play the characters they are before the character arcs, and then come back and play these characters that have completely changed and grown through an entire movie. And you totally buy them as the same people. The only exception to that is Fridge, the athletic black guy, because he's kind of no nonsense, and then he turns into that comedian, and he's just really funny the whole movie, but he wasn't a funny guy before that, and like, I guess you can like read too far into it. He
immediately breaks under pressure.
Yeah, but it seems the thing is they didn't have to do that to anybody else, and everybody else feels like the same characters. It's a pretty decent coming of age story. Everybody has a real character arc, and there's a lot of like people learning more about themselves by walking in other people's shoes. And the most and the best that's handled is the cheerleader girl or the airhead girl. I don't know if she's a cheerleader. I forget. But the kind of airhead
cheerleader archetype.
Kind of prissy girl who turns into Jack Black. Her character arc is all about learning how to be less superficial by not only not being like a hot chick, but also being in a man's body, and we actually deal with in a surprisingly mature way, especially because it's played for comedy, what it would really feel like if you were of one gender and suddenly you were of the other gender, because this is one of those great mysteries that people always talk about, that like, isn't it interesting that you can only imagine what it feels like to be the other gender. You can't really
without
really
like surgery and
right, like
you can't just flip back and forth like, oh, that's what that feels like. Well, I'll go back to my normal life.
like we're never really gonna know, and you're certainly at least not gonna know what it's like your entire life to be the other gender. And I was really surprised that that I thought this was really thoughtful and made me think about it, but also it was funny and it wasn't crass, and I expected it to be crass. And of course, I love Jack Black, and he's hysterical in this. And Jack Black is playing her suddenly having different anatomy, and like appreciating things about the different anatomy, and it's very funny, and It's like a really good family-friendly movie, and I would have expected that to be the thing that would make me go, I don't want to take my kids, because it's, like, this is not a thing I usually say on the channel, but I don't know how else to put it. It's like the best, like, dick jokes I've ever seen in anything, because it isn't that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's just, it's really cool how that's handled. And it's a running joke that works. Like all the way through it. But they also have a lot of fun with video game archetypes, or stereotypes, and there are tropes, I should say, and there are bits here and there that feel a little bit generic, that have that kind of like, I don't know if you've ever played a video game kind of thing, but for the most part, it doesn't have that problem.
The only way to beat this level is through a secret passageway, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but like it has fun with that stuff. There is a thing, I won't get into it now. There is a thing with The Rock, with The Rock's character. He's the leader kid who I feel like he does a thing where I questioned his morality in the moment and kind of wished more people had questioned his morality. He basically I'm going to spoil this. So again, if you don't want to hear any more, skip ahead, because I'm going to have to spoil this. But like, okay, so there's a scene where he's counting how many lives everybody has, and for the sake of a distraction, he kills someone on purpose, so that he can then he's lost an artifact he needs that he desperately has to go down and get, and he throws one of the other kids out of the helicopter and brings them down to the number of lives that he has, and kills them, and I guess they make it feel necessary enough. But I kind of would have liked a little bit of questioning about the morality. Like, you didn't have time to ask him, but like, you killed that guy. He's only got one life left. Like, I don't know. I question that a little bit. But anyway, it's surprising me. And like I said, Sarah liked it so much she took Jason and went a second time.
Oh, nice.
And Jason loved it. But yeah, like, I thought that was going to be a fun movie. I didn't expect it to be as solid of a story as it was, and it felt like a 90s movie in the best possible way. You know what I mean? Like it felt like the kind of family movie we don't make anymore.
Interesting.
And I love that about it. You want to talk about short film?
I want to talk about short film.
Yeah,
which I've got here.
And this will be the I'm feeling that movie. This will be the end of today's how we felt about.
This kind of could have gone in how we felt about, or the other one, the TV one.
Crisis. Was that on TV first?
It was.
Okay,
so,
sure.
This is from a series called Masters of Horror, which I basically didn't know existed until a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Masters of Horror was an anthology horror series that ran for 2 seasons, and every episode was directed by a famous horror director.
Yeah,
it is literally the Masters of Horror.
Wow.
So John Carpenter did one in each season. I didn't know about this really until recently. This is the one from season 1 called Cigarette Burns, which is about a haunted film, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is the thing about, like, you're not supposed to watch that film?
Yes, if you watch this film, you will go crazy.
It's not that it'll kill you, it's that you'll lose your mind.
You will lose your mind.
Like, full-on, like, Mouth of Madness. Like.
Yes. Yeah, you will. There is a man who gouges one of his eyes out while laughing, and then the main character leaves.
Of course there is.
And then he stabs his other eye while still laughing, which I thought was hilarious, and I'm so happy because I watched the commentary, because this has an insane amount of special features for a 1-hour, like, short film.
Wow. Is it just, like, beloved? Because it's...
I think maybe all of these DVDs have this.
Wow.
It has a commentary by him. There's a commentary by the writers. There's a special feature about this. There's a special feature about working with John Carpenter. Like, there's so many special features.
That doesn't usually get multiple commentaries.
No, and I haven't listened to the one with the writers. I only listened to the one with John Carpenter.
Okay, cool.
And but with the guy stabbing his eyes out, he was like, nobody else probably thinks this is funny, but I thought it was funny. And I was like, I also think it's funny. Like, okay, so we're on the same. We're on the same wavelength. So the idea the high concept is the question of, like, what if films, like, really affected us? What if a movie really could make you a bad person, kind of a thing? And it's really interesting because John Carpenter kind of talks about on the commentary where he's like, I want a knee-jerk reaction say that film can't affect you, it's not real. He's like, I once had the opportunity to see a snuff film, but I knew I shouldn't watch it, and I didn't. He's like, I can't honestly say that films can't affect you and want to be an effective storyteller. Films have to be able to move you.
Yeah.
And just, like, I was like, that's a really interesting thing. Where it breaks down a little bit in this movie is, it's not just seeing the film. So this is about a guy who is a film curator. He gets rare prints for people. He doesn't get to keep them himself, but he owns a theater that he gets to, part of his fee is he gets to show this rare print at his theater. And then he gives it to the person. And so he has been hired to get a film that apparently does not exist because it drives people insane. And everyone, like, almost everyone that worked on the film is dead. But as he's going after it, it starts affecting him. And it seems like just being on the trail of it, it starts affecting you, and there are supernatural components. I don't know if you needed all of that.
Yeah.
And it gets real big and supernatural by the end.
More, and it's a short thing, and...
Yeah, I don't know if it needed him starting to go crazy before he actually gets it. I don't have a problem with all the supernatural elements once we get to the film. But it stars, let me see if I can... Norman Reedus, who is a big name now. He's on Walking Dead. He's huge now. Okay. I know him from Blade 2.
So how old did you say that is?
2006 or 7.
Cool.
Somewhere in there. It's a really fun film. It's got like a Tales from the Crypt kind of a vibe, although they go way further than Tales from the Crypt because it was made like 2006 and 7, so like doing weird, gross things is even cheaper than it was then.
Yeah, sure.
It's a joy to watch.
We're more desensitized because film affected us.
Oh man. No. There's a point. It felt so Tales of the Crypt where someone takes their like intestines out and starts running it through a film projector. He's like, I've made a movie of my own, and like, it's horror that's fun to watch, and like it feels like everyone involved is having fun. It's not constantly trying to make me feel like I need a shower. I don't know. There's an enjoyment factor that I think is lost in a lot of modern horror.
Yeah, sure.
In things like like Saw and things like that. Like, I don't feel dirty
that
watching
stuff shouldn't
this.
take itself too seriously.
Yeah, or I personally don't like American Horror Story. I watched the first couple episodes and I felt like I needed a shower.
Porn is that?
It's not just torture porn. Like a lot of modern horror, just even covering the same kind of ideas feels real like dirty and like they're not having fun with it in the way that I feel like this is and older horror films do. So if you're a John Carpenter fan, I recommend this. You can get it for pretty cheap. It's a really fun little. It's only an hour. It's good. At some point, I'll get a hold of the second one.
I don't know if I'm going to watch that, but...
It's not your kind of thing. Oh, and the cigarette burns in the title, if you're wondering, is the things that they talk about in Fight Club that go up in the corner.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That mark the... Yeah. One last thing. So they make the film that will drive you crazy, and at first they just show you snippets, and I was like, that's really smart, because you cannot show me a film that will drive me crazy. And there's one image that legitimately made me uncomfortable.
Wow.
It's not even that weird. Like, it's just a thing that I have where someone runs their nail across a wall and it cracks and peels up. Yeah, right? Can't deal with it.
I just don't even want you to describe that
Can't deal with it. And he says in the commentary, like, there's no way I could show you a film that would drive you crazy, so we just showed little snippets, and that's great. But then we cut back and we show a little bit more, and it's not just snippets, you're seeing, like, parts of a scene.
It's too much of it.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Even the little bit that they showed, I think they showed too much. But I liked it.
If I were making that, you know what I would make the film? The film
Room?
that drives you crazy. That's funny, but I would make. But that's a little obvious, right?
Sure.
I would, maybe this is obvious too. I would make
Transformers Age or whatever the latest one last night.
I would make it what's being projected on the wall during the fairy scene in Willy Wonka. Folks, that's going to be it for us today for how we felt about. There's some stuff and some movies and how we felt about them.
Yeah.
If you're just watching this as its own separate video, we sure appreciate you watching. Thanks a bunch. And if you're watching this as part of the Omnibus, we're going to move on now to our next segment.